So I want to talk about negative thinking. I want to talk about identification. So this video is for those who were like me, who had an excess of negative thoughts, right? Like we just every second, every hour, every minute, we're just bombarded by all these negative thoughts and just running through our mind, and we can't get rid of them, right? There's nothing to do. We just gotta suffer, right? And for those who maybe they're going through one or two things that are really hard right now and they don't know what to do, like a breakup, right? Or you lost your job or something, right? Whatever it is, bottom line is you don't know how to stop feeding your negative thoughts, right? That's the only reason why these negative thoughts continue to show up, because you are feeding them every day. You might not be aware of it. You might not understand how you're doing it, but you're feeding these negative thoughts every day. That includes depression, anxiety, whatever negative emotion you are experiencing. You are feeding them. And it's actually the same with positive thoughts and emotions, but we'll talk about that later. Right now, you have to understand that we are not our brain and we are not our thoughts or our emotions. We are the consciousness that contains the thoughts and emotions. We are the space that contains your thoughts and emotions. You are not your thoughts or emotions. You're the space that contains your thoughts and your emotions. When you observe your thoughts, you become the space. You become who you really are, which is the empty space, the whiteboard that contains your thoughts and your emotions. But what happens to us is that we fall into this habit of identifying with our thoughts and emotions. What that means is we're feeding it. We're in our thoughts and emotions. We are consumed by it. Our thoughts and emotions consume us. And that's what identification is. That's what happens. Our thoughts are taking control of us. But the moment we observe our thoughts and emotions, instead of just being controlled by them, we start to experience freedom. So take something in your life that's bothering you lately. Take the biggest thing. It's almost always like the top 2 or 3 things you're feeding. We're literally thinking the same negative thoughts every day, just about. So take whatever is bothering you the most, and we'll use that as an example, right? Just pick one. So now that you have picked one, something that's you just can't stop, right? What I want you to do is to observe this thought, or maybe the next time this happens, just observe it, right? Say to yourself, "This is not me. This is a thought or emotion," right? This is not me, this is a thought or emotion. This is not me, this is a thought or emotion. Whenever you say that to your thoughts and emotion, then you stop this identification with it. Because like I said, our consciousness does this weird thing. We become identified with thoughts and emotions. And that's how we feed them. Our attention to them feeds it. So now, when you realize, right, hey, this is just a thought. I am not angry. I am observing anger. I am feeling anger, but I am not anger, right? The moment you realize that, you're free, right? Maybe there's momentum still going, but now it's different. Now there's a space between you and that thought, instead of you're identified with it, right? There's a huge difference, right? So what you want to do is to observe those negative thoughts, right? So with the same subject, whatever thoughts and emotions you're struggling with the most, observe it instead of just being in it and just obsessed over it, analyzing it, worried about it, or whatever, right? Just observe it. So observing means looking at it without judgment. That is the key here, right? We just observe. Just observe. Don't label. Don't analyze. Don't calculate anything. Just look at it. Because when you calculate, it creeps back in, and your mind creeps back in. So observe it, right? And you'll notice that when you observe your thoughts, they begin to lose power because you're no longer feeding it. They die fast when you start to observe them, right? And here's the thing. When you observe, you become the space. You become the space that contains your thoughts and emotions. And like I said, you stop feeding them. So this is who you naturally are. You're naturally the infinite space that contains your thoughts and emotions, your consciousness. You're not the brain, you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions. You're absolute consciousness. And absolute consciousness can choose what thoughts to feed or not to feed or whatever, right? And we're right now feeding all these negative thoughts, and that's why we're suffering, right? So the moment we observe instead of identifying, being in it, right? You're starting to free yourself. Make this a habit. Get into observer mode. And this is, especially for those who really struggle with their thoughts, go into observer mode. This is going to ease your pain so much until this becomes natural, right? Sit still or whatever. Just observe. Be in observer mode and just no judgment. Look at your thoughts and emotions. No judgment. Just observe. Don't push away. Observe. Become the empty space that contains your thoughts and emotions without judgment, right? If you have excessive thinking that you can't stop, that means you're not doing this. You think you're your thoughts. You think you are your thoughts and your emotions. You're consumed by your thoughts and emotions. It's just a mechanism that happens, and we just need to stop that automatic negative mechanism, right? We gotta free ourselves. And if you do this right, your negative thoughts and emotions will lose energy and die. It cannot stay alive without your attention. Your attention is what is feeding these things. But when you're observing, you're not feeding. It's only when you're in it, when you're consumed by it, that you're feeding it. So practice being in observation mode, okay? Just observe. And if you really need to, especially for beginners, say these words. Every time they come up, the negative thoughts come up, say, hey, this is not me, this is a thought. Hey, this is not me, this is an emotion, blah, 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 right? Just, if that helps, try it. And just do this, and this will return you to the natural state of who you are, right? So, let me know what you think. Let me know how the practice goes, and there's other videos about presence that directly correlates to this that I've made. But all techniques of presence comes down to this mechanism of, because the only reason presence is healing is because presence automatically puts you in observer mode. Okay, so I have other episodes of techniques, right? So be sure to check those out, and I'll put the link in the description. Thank you.